Good afternoon. So we're in the middle of part 3 now, and we are discussing how exercise increases your immunity and resistance and prepares you to mitigate the inflammatory effects of the cytokine storm that you might get with a COVID-19 infection. So we were speaking that mild exercise is the best in doing the things that you want to do. Severe exercise or long exercise and hard exercise actually raises these inflammatory components in your blood and many others. But mild exercise would be walking or swimming. If you had access to a pool, that'd be wonderful, wouldn't it? Walking. And what's best? What's best is morning for 30 minutes and evening for 30 minutes. But if you can't do but one, an interesting study showed that afternoon walking was best. Best in two ways. It decreased the natural killer cells that overreacted. It decreased the TNF and the interleukin-6, and it decreased those NK cells that got overactive that produce inflammation, and it increased or strengthened the white blood cells that fight infection. So, what's your take home? Walk in the afternoon, 30 minutes. So, another hint that would be wonderful is we're moving into sleep. The next thing you want to increase your immunity and resistance and mitigate your inflammation is to sleep 7 hours a night. So, good research has shown that if you walk 30 minutes in the afternoon, about 2.5 hours before bedtime, 2.5 to 3 hours before bedtime, that process prepares you for good, deep, restorative sleep. So, you get two things for one if you walk in the afternoon. Now, for 30 minutes, one more caveat. If you can walk in the afternoon for 30 minutes on ground, not on the flat surface, you're going to be doing another good thing for your brain. So you're going to be not only decreasing inflammatory cytokines, and exercise is good for you, you're going to be doing a wonderful thing for your brain. When you walk on ground, especially ground that's unlevel, not flat, I'm going to say not cement, not hard surface, and your ground is going to be uneven naturally, it should be. And uneven is a little bit better. If you can, I don't want you to go out there and go on an uneven ground for 30 minutes and break your hip and be mad. Be careful. Work up. If you lose your balance already and you have terrible balance right now, just take it easy, build up to that. But walk on uneven ground for 30 minutes. You'll strengthen your core, and without even knowing it, your cerebellum, which is the part of the brain that helps your balance, will improve. That's wonderful news, because our brain can improve. We know that if you memorize, no matter what age you are, it improves your brain. It builds connections, and you can do that if you're 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, you can. So this is a wonderful thing. So walk 30 minutes in the afternoon to decrease your inflammatory cells and to increase, what I just also said, increase those cells that fight viruses, decrease those white cells, natural killer cells that in a lot of people who carry some inflammation in their body, either they have diabetes, high blood pressure, other chronic diseases, autoinflammatory diseases, or they're obese, or they don't get enough sleep, or they're under stress from high cortisol that produces these cytokines. This mild exercise will help lower those. It will help improve your immunity and decrease your inflammatory cells. Now, here's a wonderful thing. It also is protective for 8 hours to your cortisol level. So cortisol is produced by stress and worry and panic and all those things that you don't want to do during this time, and all those things that you may be having to work against so that you don't have stress in this time period. So walking guards you. 30 minutes of walking will guard you for 8 hours. It will blunt the cortisol damage and help keep your parasympathetic nervous system. It makes your bowel contract slowly and nice, decrease your sympathetic nervous system, decrease your epinephrine and your stress rate and your cortisol rate. It will modulate that and help your body be more calm and have more of a biochemical and physiologic proper response to stress that you want. Now, we talked about it will blunt your cortisol, it will help your sleep. So sleep, you want 7 hours of sleep at night. And there's a lot of ways to do that. That's a topic for another talk, but sleep in a cool room, sleep after a hot bath, have a cool room. Don't avoid a lot of blue light after 5:30. Don't use a lot of your digital devices after supper. And those are some basic things. We can do another talk on how to help you sleep for 7 hours. But exercising for 30 minutes is really key for that, and that will help that in the evening. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is how to physiologically do some more blunting of cortisol, and that is meditation 3 times a day, if you can. It lasts 8 hours, and I touch my hand in my face again. You want to really watch that. So we'll talk about some things to do that. Meditation the protection lasts 8 hours. So you want to try to do that 3 times a day if you can, but at least twice a day. So meditation works, and this is again 30 minutes. It works like walking. It blunts your cortisol, it does all those healthy things that walking for 30 minutes does, except for strengthening your core and helping your balance. Singing, if you sing a happy kind of singing, laughing, so you might find a good video that you like, a good healthy, clean video that makes you laugh and feel good. All of those things for 30 minutes really blunt your cortisol. So take time for yourself to do that. If you are, I really think that if you have a faith, and I'm a Christian, and so spending time in the Word and reading your Bible and then thinking about what that means, writing down the promises you see there, and then talking to the Lord, that's just prayer, asking Him to help you to, through Christ, to live those in your life and take those promises to Him, and then writing down your concerns. Philippians 4, 6, and 7 says, don't worry about anything. But in everything you have, with prayer, talking to God, and supplication, with thanksgiving, thank Him that He's listening, thank Him that He wants to answer. Let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of Christ, which passes understanding, it's going to be more than you can understand. It will guard, there's that wonderful word, your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. And in that particular aspect, heart means your mind, will, and emotions, and your spirit. So you want to be guarded, you want to feel secure. And we'll talk about in part 5 some more spiritual helps that actually really will help increase your resistance and mitigate the cytokine storm that you might have. So you want to try to get 7 hours of sleep. So you really want to have undisturbed sleep between 2 and 6 if you can. So if you work that out, that's 4 hours. So you can be 10 to 6 would be 8. 2 to 5, that's 7. And you want to try to get 7 complete hours. If you can go a little farther, 8 hours, that's good too. So try to have a set bedtime and make that guard in your life. Okay, so now we're going to go on to start some supplements that we know help your immune system be more resistant to infection or improve your immunity. So they're pretty simple to know. And I'm going to show you some of those as we go along. Number 1, I think a good healthy diet is the very best thing. But just to be sure you get something, if you don't have a good diet, I'd suggest that you find a good multivitamin that has extra fruits and vegetables in that. Now this is a caplet form of this, because a lot of times you take 3 and it has orchard fruits, garden veggies, and daily greens. Now do I depend on that? No, absolutely not, because it's not near enough. But on a caplet form, if you take a caplet form, a lot of older people take Centrum Silver. I highly recommend that you put that in a glass of water and let it dissolve. A lot of older people don't have as much hydrochloric acid in their stomach as they need to dissolve a caplet, and sometimes the radiologists kind of joke that they can read Centrum Silver on an x-ray in the rectum, so it doesn't really dissolve well. Maybe in some it does, maybe it doesn't, but the point is, if you put it in a glass of water all day long and you take it after supper when it's liquid, you're going to get what you're paying for. And so I would highly recommend that you dissolve your caplet vitamins. Liquid vitamins work better, but if you have a caplet vitamin, just dissolve it. All right, number 2, you want to make sure that you're taking vitamin D3. So I'm going to put D3 here. And the Vitamin D Council says you want 1,000 milligrams, and it's not milligrams, it's international units. 1,000 international units for every 25 pounds of weight. So for an average, that's about 5,000 international units a day for an average person, about 125 to 135. But you can figure out your weight there. Now you can get D3 for the sunshine, and you can get about 2/3 of that from about 25 to 30 minutes of sunshine. But see the amount of body exposure, they say that's exposed about the size of a 9x11 sheet of paper. But you want to make sure that you're getting D3 every day. That's so important for immunity, for serotonin, for mood, for and resistance to infection. Secondly, you want to take some zinc. So zinc, the daily dose that you really need is about 25 milligrams. So zinc, you can divide half of that, and you could do 12.5 in the morning and 12.5 in the evening. And then some people recommend that you can do 25. Some experts say that you can do 25 each, and that's not too much. When you do take zinc, you need to take copper. And interestingly, a new study came out that was reviewed by one of the researchers at Johns Hopkins Medical School, that the COVID virus lives 72 hours on plastic, 48 hours on stainless steel, 24 hours on cardboard, 3.5 to 4 hours on copper, and 3 hours in the air. And we're going to talk about how that can be practical to us later. But zinc drives down copper levels. So copper, you want to take, basically usually, most of them come in a pill that's the amount for the day, and I left mine at home, but you just need one a day, one copper pill a day. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about using copper in a nasal spray in a minute. Okay, so probiotics are real important, and you can get various kinds of probiotics. The best kind would be that which refrigerated. But probiotics are what help you heal your leaky gut and help you maintain a really good bowel. That's the basis for anti-inflammation. So how much probiotics do you need? Well, if you're trying to heal your leaky gut, which most people should be, if you're overweight at all, or sedentary, or if you've eaten a Western diet or a diet full of preservatives, you want about 25 billion in the morning and 25 in the evening, or 50 billion total, and you can divide that in 3. And then with your probiotics, you want to have 1 to 2 tablespoons of Greek yogurt, that's that high protein yogurt, before every meal. Why is that? An interesting study showed that those people who had Greek yogurt before their meal had better digestion, and they had a greater increase in their natural probiotics. And then lastly, vitamin C. Vitamin C you want, and I'm going to put it at top because that's what you want the most, you want 4,000 milligrams a day. And you can spread that out throughout the day, but that's critical. We're all vitamin C deficient normally, and this is a basic amount. And we'll talk about how we can modify these if you think you're getting sick. Okay, thanks for listening.